yesterday, at least at the time of writing, Dreamzzz Season 3 Part 2 came out, and I didn't know because I thought it was July 31st. So I binged the entire part this morning, and well, what did I think of it? Well, it is certainly a great season. I honestly think that this is the best LEGO Dreamzzz has to offer. I still think Season 2 Part 2 is the best part, but that's not to say this is bad at all. In fact, it's probably the best season. When LEGO Dreamzzz originally came out, I watched the series and it was entertaining. Entertaining enough that I followed along for 2 more years, and every part had something familiar. The series balanced plot and filler very well. When I say filler, I don't mean actual filler, I just mean stuff to pass the time and get the series to its ultimate runtime, that being 20 episodes per season. Episode 8, moving on up, had Izzy and Mateo work their way up through the Happy App building, and it is very fun. Fun is basically the word I would use to describe this entire season. But I think we should discuss different aspects at once instead of switching all the time. So let's talk about the villains. The main villain for Season 3 Part 1 is Dream Smasher, who disguises himself as a false hero and drains the creativity out of the dream realms. And he's very likable actually, but he can also be very good at being a villain. At the start of the season, Izzy is a massive fan of Dream Smasher, so much so that she votes for him over her own brother on who should be the Dream Keeper. And the fact that Dream Smasher is Claudius was so far from who I ever thought he would be. I was originally skeptical of a side villain taking the place of the main antagonist. However, I think there's a lot the series did right with him. Thank God the series didn't drag out the mystery of who Dream Smasher is, or that he was evil, because both are revealed very early on. But the moment where Claudius pointed out Izzy and made her realize that she backed him over her own brother made me realize how good this villain is gonna be, and I loved every moment that we got of him acting evil. As for the side villains, 1, 0, and the mini screenies, they're alright I guess. Nothing amazing. I think D-Shock had huge potential though. I get the idea and the concept, Izzy and Mateo's father being in league with the evil faction, but I think it could have been done so much better. To start, his overall design has nothing to do with his personality. Nowhere where he would wear anything related to this at all. Then they could make this concept more interesting. Maybe if Izzy saved him, that would have been more impactful than just distracting him. But now, I think we should talk about the main villain. And the main villain is literally artificial intelligence made by a company who wanted to make good appetizers. What a better way to relate this to our real world. This was such a genius decision and I honestly loved it. Now let's talk comedy. This season is so much more funnier than any other. Examples are the Procrastinators Club. I can't read that sentence without laughing. The Fund Now or Else by Zoe's dad. And Logan being ghosted. I laughed out loud multiple times while watching, especially in part 1. And I loved almost every single joke in the season. Now, before we dive into the plot, let's talk about visuals. When Dreamzzz first premiered, the overall look of the show was okay at best. But now there's been a massive budget increase and the show looks so much better now. Even some areas that were dreadful in season 1 aren't as dreadful now, aka Phil. I could definitely tell when they wanted to go cheap. For example, Izzy waking up to use the bathroom when she's in the dream world again. The massive dream crafting scene is already over. I could definitely tell it was an excuse, but I didn't mind it all that much. The other visuals in the season involve the look of the characters. I think their designs were great. They're so detailed and they don't fall into the same trap of all of them wearing the same outfits. At least the show doesn't yet. I've also noticed how sets from the previous season feature in this one, like the Koopasaurus Rex. I also just think the designs are cooler to look at. Like they're so good. The design of all of the characters are so unique and colorful, and they're just so cool to look at, you know? Even the villain faction's designs are good, and I'm talking about those mini screenies, which I thought looked hideous in the first trailer. The next section is sort of a character analysis sort of thing, you can say, I guess. So let's start at the beginning of the season. As soon as we start, Mateo is bored of the 9 to 5, working for the Night Bureau, but is quickly overshadowed by Dream Smasher. I love this opening. It perfectly shows how Mateo's ego got the best of him. Even Z-Blob has a character arc. Usually when the main character has a small sidekick in the show, they follow along whatever the main characters do because they're such good friends, am I right? But in episode 2, Z-Blob is tired of following Mateo wherever he goes and wants to do something he likes to do. In the same episode, the characters are looking for clubs to join. But when Mateo goes to Oz Club, he learns how much talking can resolve things. So he and Z-Blob make up, and that's that. After this, Mateo and Z-Blob don't really have anything to do in terms of development in the entire season, if I'm not mistaken. Then there's Izzy. At first, she's a huge fan of Dream Smasher because she's too trusting, but by the end of the season, she learns to cope with the idea of her helping a villain. Sorry I couldn't spend another 7 hours rewatching the season to dive deep into her character. Zoe also has some development. She's been dealing with the idea of living with her dad that isn't so evil anymore. Not much to say about her in the first part. I guess she's dealing with her identity, like who she is, what's her personality. But she has much better development in the second. Throughout the season, Zoe has thought of the idea of becoming a solo artist. Even her dreams reflected. But the entire time, she's been dealing with her personal judgment. It might seem like she's confident, but she's actually judging herself, and we see that in episode 15, where she deals with her self-judgment and overcomes her doubt. This was an amazing show of her character, and definitely one of my favorite episodes. Then there's Logan, who's just dealing with Astrid ghosting him. But for the most part, it's actually really funny. I thought the gag would have been annoying, honestly, but I was on the floor laughing to some of his lines. Cooper has something, I guess. He's dealing with the loss of his friend Wheelie, who is literally a robot, by the way, in the episode 14. I mean, he's never been that interesting to me, so I'm gonna kind of skip over him, honestly. Now, let's talk about the plot. I think overall, I like Season 3 Part 1 much more than Part 2, since Part 1 had more interesting things to deal with. But I honestly hate the Roblox apocalypse storyline. Like, it's not that bad, but it got really boring and repetitive quickly. There are a bunch of themed episodes in Part 2, the video game episode where they have to get that magical wrench, the music episode, and the school episode. I actually think the best part about Part 2 was the gag that Claudius had to be awake. It was funny to me, not gonna lie, but Part 1 had more locations to freshen up the vibes of the show. And not stick to just Bo's house in the middle of City Park. I think that the overall plot is fine, and at some points non-existent, but I enjoyed the watch overall. I think the ending could have been done better though. It kind of felt underwhelming. Like, they did practically nothing to win, and the final battle just weird. Anyway, I mean, underwhelming is what I would describe most fights with AI actually are and ending. But when I mean ending, I don't mean the final battle. I mean the aftermath of the battle. We get a narration from Matteo explaining what happened. But I think it could have been visually better in the sense that we needed to get better visuals to match the narration. But other than that, there's nothing to complain about. Now, the final section about the future of Dreamzzz is honestly not looking good. Season 4 has not been greenlit yet officially, and this might be the end of the show. Whether it is or isn't, I won't be mad. I have a lot of other interests than Dreamzzz, so isn't gonna be that big of a deal to me. I know they teased the undreamt at the end, but I just don't think it's gonna happen. If he is the eventual villain of season 4, just don't make him an octopus again. Now, there's a bunch that I didn't touch on the season. This is very much early impressions. This isn't the actual in-depth review. I don't really like doing reviews for shows that aren't as important to me as Ninjago. But who knows? Maybe if this video blows up, I'll do one. If you guys want it that bad, 500 likes and I'll do it. Okay. Anyway, another important announcement. My episode ranking is officially coming out on August 15. It might get delays due to storms in my area. That's an internet problem, by the way. I've been working so hard to get this done, so I'll see you all then. But wait, I still haven't given my official out of 10 ranking. So, Lego Dreamzzz Season 3 is getting an 8 out of 10. I'll see you all in the next one.